Don't get me wrong, I love all the Torah, but I'm a Gentile. The reason for making this video is because of the wrong paths one can go on when starting on the Torah journey. When you're new to Torah and starting to learn more about it. Why would it be beneficial even for Gentiles to study Torah? You can see my other video about that topic on, it's called Torah Part 3, Wisdom and Blessing. So there is blessing and wisdom in studying Torah, even if you're a Gentile. But this video is not about that. It's about the warnings of wrong paths one can end up on when you're starting on this journey. Many Torah teachers teach Gentiles are obligated to do all of Torah, like some Hebrew rooters or so-called Judaizers. I myself have been led to believe this, also starting out listening to YouTubers teaching Torah, to only later discover the error of this wrong teaching. It's important to know Yeshua spoke mostly to a Jewish audience, especially when you listen to his words about it, or when you read about him teaching them about the law. Where he speaks that part where it says your Torah will be removed from the Torah to all be fulfilled, and whoever teaches me so shall be called least in the kingdom of heaven, but those who do and teach others shall be called the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. He was speaking to a Jewish audience, and that's how I understand the scripture. And how it makes sense for me. And so it's important to know that he spoke to a Jewish audience. He was sent only to the lost sheep of Israel when reading the Gospels. You must understand that. And know the difference between earthly Israel and the heavenly Israel. The spiritual man and the earthly man's different obligations regarding the Torah. So let's dig deeper. So let's dig deeper into this and see some misunderstandings. Okay. First, I'm gonna start with what is replacement theology. Just in short, replacement theology teaches that the church has replaced Israel in God's plan. Now, this is wrong. The promises made to ethnical national Israel now belongs only to the church. Israel's disobedience caused them to permanently be rejected by God. This view rose in early church history and influenced centuries of Christian teaching, often contributing to anti-Semitism. And this is hatred of the Jews. You would see some people, they blame the Jews for this and for that, and that is totally wrong. And why it's problematic biblically. God's promises are eternal. I will never reject all the descendants of Israel. Jeremiah 31:35-37. God's covenant with Israel is described as everlasting. You read a lot when it says the commandments is from perpetual, from generation to generation, and it's not conditional or revoked. Paul's warning in Romans 11, do not boast against the branches. God has not rejected his people. Paul clearly teaches that Gentiles are grafted in, not that Israel is cut off forever. The olive tree metaphor in Romans 11:17-24, Israel is the root. Believing Gentiles are grafted in, but natural branches, Israel, are not replaced. So the correct view, many Bible scholars now affirm what's called a remnant theology. The church and Israel have distinct yet interconnected roles. The church does not replace but joins in God's redemptive plan. In the Messiah Yeshua, both Jew and Gentile become one body without cancelling God's original covenant with earthly Israel. Yeshua himself said, salvation is from the Jews. John 4:22. I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, he said in Matthew 15:24. Final takeaway from this part about what's it called? Replacement theology. God is faithful to his covenant people. The church is grafted in, not replacing Israel, but joining her. One tree, one Messiah, and one kingdom. Okay, so why do some Gentile Christian Torah followers believe there is one law for Jew and Gentile, making the error to think Gentiles are obligated to fulfill all of Torah like the Jew? This is a can I'm opening here. I'm not trying to cause division or anything. I'm just gonna present you here what I've come to believe. And so the idea that Gentile followers of Yeshua Jesus must keep all the same commandments as Jews, including kosher laws, tzitzit, circumcision, and festivals, comes from a misreading of the phrase, there shall be one law for native and for the stranger, the Ger, who dwells among you. Exodus 12:49, Numbers 15:15 to 16. Let's break down why some Torah following Gentile Christians adopt this view and where the misunderstanding lies. One law equals equal justice, not identical obligation. Those verses mean the same standard of justice and righteousness applies to all. No double standards between Jew and Gentile. Example in a court or punishment. But they do not say all commandments apply equally to everyone. Example, Gentiles weren't required to be circumcised to live among Israel unless they wanted to eat the Passover lamb, Exodus 12:48. In Acts 15, the Jerusalem Council clarifies this. The early church faced this exact debate. Must Gentiles be circumcised and keep the law of Moses to be saved? The apostles answered no. Gentiles are saved by grace through faith, just like the Jews. They were given 4 basic instructions to Gentiles in Acts 15:20, which reflect the core Torah moral laws. James adds, Moses is priest in every city, suggesting Gentiles could learn more over time, but not be burdened with the full Torah observance. Number 3, Torah has different covenant roles. In Torah itself, there are commandments for priests only, commandments for men, for women, for landowners, kings, and Nazarites. Some laws only for native Israel, some laws only for when in the land of Israel. So even among Jews, not every command applies to everyone. And Gentiles in the new covenant, Gentile believers are grafted into Israel's olive tree in Romans 11, share in the spiritual blessings of the covenant, but are not under the same national covenantal obligations as physical Israel. Bottom line, one law doesn't mean every law. It means God's righteousness is consistent, but his covenants and callings are unique. Gentile believers should honor Torah as fulfilled in Yeshua, not as a means of identity or righteousness. The goal is unity in Messiah, not uniformity in observance. And fulfilled in Yeshua, Yeshua didn't take away the Torah, but he fulfilled it, doing all of it. And he is our righteousness, and he walked it out perfectly as an example. But there is a different application for Jew and for Gentile, as we've read. So during the course of my studying more about this topic, I've had a folder and I stored some of more comments about this to add more meat to the topic. It's from Dr. Catriel Blood, and I'm going to read what he has to say about this topic. Let's read what he says. The Torah speaks about different kinds of foreigners. One is the convert who has the same responsibility to follow the commandments as a Jew, but not all foreigners did conversion. We also have to understand that the Torah is given for the people of Israel living in the land of Israel, not for the diaspora Jews. Jews living outside of Israel are not able to fulfill the commandments of the Torah. The Torah is for Jews living in the land, not for the Gentile nations. You cannot obligate the people of Alaska to sleep in booths during Sukkot. That would be to kill some of them because of the cold. Those living in north of Norway have 3 months of day during the summer. The sun never sets, and 3 months of night during the winter. The sun doesn't rise. So how could they follow the sunset for Shabbat celebration? The Torah was not given to Norway or South Africa, but to the people living in the land of Israel. Let's read what ChatGPT says about the foreigner. The Torah and Jews law, halakha, address different categories of foreigners. The status and obligations of these groups can vary significantly. The Ger-Toshav, resident alien. A Ger-Toshav is a non-Jewish inhabitant of the land of Israel who observes the 7 laws of Noah and accepts the sovereignty of the Jewish legal system. They are allowed certain rights in the community, like the right to sustain from communal charity funds, to sustenance from community charity funds. The Ger Tzedek, the righteous convert. A Ger Tzedek, also known as a proselyte, is a non-Jew who has converted to Judaism. They are bound by all the commandments and obligations of Jewish law, and in all respects are considered as fully Jewish. Nokri, a foreigner. This term refers to a non-Jew who has not accepted the 7 laws of Noah or the sovereignty of the Jewish legal system. Jewish law regulates various forms of interaction with Nokrim, ranging from business dealings to social relationships. And Eved Kanavkani, the Canaanite slave. This is a non-Jewish slave owned by a Jew who is obligated to observe some but not all of the commandments. The treatment of foreigners and the ethics of interpersonal relationships are important themes in Jewish law, reflecting the Jewish historical experience as strangers in a strange land, Exodus 2:22. Let's read more about the comments of Dr. Catriel Blood. Okay, verse Numbers 15, verse 16. He states again, 1 law and 1 custom shall be for you and for the stranger who dwells with you. So we read about the different strangers there. Let's read what Dr. Catriel Blood says further. The stranger mentioned in this text is the one who lives in Israel's community, who has voluntarily embraced the covenant of circumcision and submitted to Israel's religious authorities. This kind of stranger is also called a proselyte or convert. As long as a stranger residing among the Jews doesn't enter the covenant of circumcision, he does not have the same Torah as the Jew. As we can see in Exodus 12:48-49, where it's written, and when a stranger dwells with you and wants to keep the Passover to the Lord, let all his males be circumcised, and then let him come near and keep it. and he shall be as a native of the land. For no uncircumcised person shall eat it. One law shall be for the native born and for the stranger who dwells among you. And King James, and in Numbers 9:14 it's written, and if a stranger dwells among you and would keep the Lord's Passover, he must do so according to the rite of the Passover and according to its ceremony. You shall have one ordinance both for the stranger and the native of the land. Only when a stranger wants to eat the Passover, which implies living as a Jew in every aspect, he will have to be circumcised with all his family. If he doesn't wish to eat the Passover, he has no obligation of getting circumcised, and the same law doesn't apply to him. In such a case, he won't be committing a moral sin when not eating the Passover, as the one who belongs to the covenant of circumcision, Numbers 9:13. A foreigner who lives among the Jews and doesn't get circumcised doesn't belong to the earthly people of Israel, as we see in Deuteronomy 14:21, where it's written, you shall not eat anything that dies of itself, you shall give it to the stranger that is in your gates, so that he may eat it, or you may sell it to a stranger. But you are a holy people to the Lord your God. King James Revised. Now there is a heavenly people of the eternal, the Messiah's congregation, where Jews who have been born of the Spirit and experienced the circumcision of the heart are registered together with the righteous ones from among the nations who have experienced the same heart circumcision, the Messiah's circumcision. That is a heavenly people. It's the heavenly temple of the eternal, the heavenly city, and the heavenly olive tree in which the spiritual grafting takes place. The cornerstone that the builders rejected on earth was chosen by heaven, and it is the main rock in the heavenly building. The root of the olive tree, the root of David, it is in heaven, and there is unity between the spiritual Jew and the one redeemed from among the nations. Unity between them is in Messiah in heaven. On earth, there are differences between Jew and Noahide, man and woman, slave and free man, but not in the Messiah who is in heaven, as it is written in Galatians 3:28. There is neither Jew nor Greek, nor slave, nor free, male nor female, for you are all one in Messiah Yeshua. There is only one people in heaven. There everyone is son of Almighty, but on earth there are two kinds of people, sons of Israel, son of Noah. This way there are three categories of people in total, two on earth and one in heaven, Jews and Gentiles on earth and a congregation of the Almighty in heaven, as it's written in 1 Corinthians 10:32. But without offense both to the Jews and to the Greeks and to the assembly of God. The Torah is not in heaven, but on earth, and it was given to the Jewish people. The entire Torah is not for both peoples, Jews and Noahites, because in such a case all Noahites would have to take part in the covenant of circumcision and become Jewish. If this happened, there would be no more nations, but one. But the eternal plan is that there are many nations on earth, and a priestly nation among and for them. Daily Manna, posting from Dr. Catriel Platt. That's why we can't speak of one people and one Torah on earth. This rule only applies for the ones in the covenant of circumcision. The 630 commandments of the Torah were not given to those who are not in the covenant of circumcision. From the tribe of Ephraim, Hosea. This is another topic about Ephraim. Let's read what I have to say about this. From the tribe of Ephraim, Hosea, son of Nun. Moses gave Hosea, son of Nun, the name Joshua in Numbers 13:8, 16b NIV. What is the relationship between the Messiah and Ephraim? Joshua is the long form of the name of Yeshua. Moshe knew prophetically that the name of the Messiah would be Yeshua. Therefore, he named the one who was going to be his successor this name. This Joshua, son of Nun, came from the tribe of Ephraim, son of Joseph. This is a prophetic sign that the Messiah had to be a son of Joseph and fulfill the role of the suffering Messiah to be, and afterwards lifted up just as Joseph was in Egypt. At the same time, we see an interesting connection between the Messiah and the tribe of Ephraim, who represents the lost tribes of Israel. Part of Messiah's task is to represent and restore these lost tribes, Isaiah 49 verse 6. Since his first coming, the Messiah has been working on the restoration of the lost tribes spiritually. The 10 lost tribes are mixed among the Gentiles. That's why when Gentiles receive salvation and start being obedient to the 7 Noahic commandments, they receive heavenly citizenship, and in that way Ephraim is restored in heaven and achieves a very high status. However, the Gentiles who come to the Messiah and represents Ephraim are not grafted in the earthly Israel through their salvation. Therefore, they cannot call themselves Israelites nor replace the Jewish people. They are people that belong to the eternal, composed of righteous men and women from among the nations, but they are not the people of the eternal in the sense of the covenant of physical circumcision, and they do not have the obligation to fulfill the commandments that are meant for those of the circumcision. The physical, final, and complete restoration of the lost tribes is reserved till and the second coming of the Messiah. Then, according to my understanding, Dr. Gilbert says, Ephraim physical descendants who are mixed among the nations who won't become immortal by the power of the resurrection will be chosen and pointed out by the Messiah and will have to enter the covenant of circumcision to take part in the physical people of Israel. Thus, the tribes will be restored physically. These Israelites will be mortal. Very interesting. So we can see that Ephraim's restoration is carried out in 2 stages. The first is a spiritual manner in heaven through the circumcision of the heart of those Gentiles who receive the message of the Messiah, and the second with the restoration on earth of the lost tribes with the circumcision on the flesh and the gathering with the physical people of Israel on earth. The righteous ones from among the nations who are now co-citizens citizens in heaven are not part of those who are physically restored from the tribes, because in the moment of the return of the Messiah they will become immortal and will be the ones who rule over the earth, over the mortal ones. He says this is how he understands it. Very interesting. I would love to go through this also again. There's a lot of meat in this. And Leviticus 12, 1, 13 to 5. Speak to the children of Israel, saying, if a woman conceives and bears a male child, then she shall be unclean 7 days, as at the time of her menstruation she shall be unclean. And on the 8th day the flesh of his foreskin shall be circumcised. Leviticus 12, 2 to 3. Who are the children of Israel? The children of Israel have the obligation of circumcising the male children on the 8th day. Those who aren't children of Israel don't have this obligation. The children of Noah aren't children of Israel, and therefore they can't circumcise the children except for medical reasons. They are not in the covenant of the circumcision of the flesh. They are children of Noah who received salvation through the Messiah, have been made children of the eternal, but they still are not children of Israel, and therefore they are not obligated and not allowed to introduce their children in the covenant of circumcision. There is no such thing as a new Israel made up of Gentiles. That idea is a violation of the Torah and of the teaching of the prophets of Israel. if a child of Noah wants to partake in the covenant of circumcision, he has to circumcise all his sons who are not adult, as it's written in Exodus 12:8. If a stranger who sojourns with you and wants to keep the Passover to the Lord, let all his males be circumcised, then he may come near and keep it. You shall be a native of the land, but no uncircumcised person shall eat of it. This teaches us that the Gentiles co-citizenship with the children of Israel in the Messiah. The one Paul mentions in Ephesians 2:19 is not on earth but in heaven, in the heavenly Jerusalem, as is written in Hebrews 12:22. But you have come to Mount Zion, to the heavenly Jerusalem, the city of the living God. You have come to the thousands upon thousands of angels in joyful assembly. In Ephesians 2:19-22, it is written, consequently, you are no longer foreigners and aliens, but fellow citizens with God's people and members of Israel's household, built on the foundations of the apostles and prophets, with Messiah Yeshua himself as the chief cornerstone. In him, the whole building is joined together and rises to become a holy temple in the Lord. And in him, you too are being built together to become a dwelling in which God lives by his Spirit. This text doesn't speak of citizenship with the people of Israel on earth, but of fellow citizenships in the eternal house in heaven. The heavenly temple and the earthly city, there are two different dimensions that cannot be mixed. The born-again child of Noah, who has thus received fellow citizenship in heaven, and a heavenly city, can use that citizenship on earth to claim rights to live in the land of Israel and be a citizenship of the state of Israel, nor can he claim to be a member of the Jewish people. The work of the Messiah among the Gentiles lifts them to become children of the eternal and members of his heavenly family, together with all the Jews that are in the Messiah. However, not even because of that can they be called children of Israel unless they enter the covenant of circumcision and submit to the heavenly established rabbinical authorities that establish Jewish laws. So when the Torah pronounces laws for the children of Israel, as it's in the text we've highlighted today, the one redeemed from among the nations are not included in those laws. Therefore, the laws of circumcision of all male children does not apply to them. And there's some more he's got to say on different parts. Let me also read this part. And whatever man in the house of Israel or of the stranger who dwells among you who eats any blood, I'll set my face against that person who eats blood, and I will cut him off from among his people. For the life of the flesh is in its blood, and I have given it to you upon the altar to make atonement for your souls, for it is the blood that makes atonement for your soul. Therefore I said to the children of Israel, no one among you shall eat blood, nor shall any stranger who dwells among you eat blood. That's in Leviticus 17, verse 10. From which people may the stranger be cut off? The context of prohibition of eating blood shows that it is related to the cult of demons. The Torah repeats this prohibition several times, and also the consequences of disobedience, which shows that it is a very important and serious issue. Now this text teaches us that the foreigner, in Hebrew ger, may be cut off from his people if he disobeys these commandments. This foreigner who lives among the sons of Israel is counted as a member of the people of Israel. Therefore, being cut off from his people doesn't mean from the people he was originally from. In this case, the ger is one that has entered in the people because of the covenant of circumcision. For this reason, he could be cut off from the people of Israel. On the other hand, we see that the Torah doesn't include him in a group called House of Israel and Sons of Israel. There is the House of Israel, the Sons of Israel, and there is the other group, the foreigners, converts, the Kerim. This teaches us that the Gentiles who have entered the covenant of circumcision are a people with Israel, but are not considered sons of Israel or house of Israel, but they are part of the same people. Because if they weren't counted as part of the people, they couldn't be cut off from the people. The same laws apply both to the sons of Israel and to the Gerim, the foreigners who converted to enter into the covenant of circumcision. Exodus 12:48-49. All the commandments of the Torah apply only to those in a covenant of circumcision. So there's important differences we have to understand in this. And we know Yeshua's, what he said. I'm just going to end off with that. The scribes and Pharisees sit in a seat of Moshe, and whatever they teach and tell you to do, that you must obey. And there's a lot of things I'm still studying and things I don't understand, like the Noahide laws and things. I know what they say and stuff and so on, but there are some things I would like to understand better still. But I believe Yeshua and what he said, that the scribes and Pharisees sit in the seat of Moshe, and therefore we listen to what they have to say, And these are the teachers that come from Israel and not how can I say? So anyway, I thought about sharing that. There are different wrong paths one can end up when you start going a path of Torah. I've seen people that misunderstand Paul, and then they because of they so badly want to prove and to follow that Gentiles and everyone is obligated to fulfill all of Torah, that they start to misunderstand things that Paul said. Because there are some things that Peter even said that in some place in the word that they would twist his words and because things he said is difficult to understand, leading to the error of lawlessness and so. And so then that person, he started to throw out Paul, and afterwards he started to throw out the whole Bible eventually, and so there's doctrines of demons, wrong teachings, and so on. And this is meat. This is hard meat to study and to take in and to see test what is good and what is not. So I hope you are blessed. And if you have any questions, let me know, and I'll take it from there. Blessings. Shalom.